lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family.
David.
Where's everybody?
9 painful months.
Without these special people behind me, I wouldn't have a search. Hello, everyone. David Robinson here. Thank you so much for joining in with me on this day. This is a really important day for me and my family. It's actually a really sad day for me and my family. As you know, my son, Daniel Robinson, geologist Daniel Robinson, has been missing today, June 23rd of 2024, for 3 years. My efforts to find my son is continually happening. We still not losing hope on Daniel. We will bring Daniel home. Today, I was asking everybody to come in to remember my son Daniel and everything that who he is. He's a geologist. He's an American scientist. He's from Columbia, South Carolina. He went to the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina, where he majored in geology. He graduated with honors. Excelled everything that he decided he wanted to do. He has entrepreneurial spirit and want to do wonderful things in life. And I want to see my son continue that type of work. But as sadly, like I said earlier, we have been going. It's going on 3 years now. Didn't have the answers that I'm looking for. But it's something that, like I said again, I'm not going to give up on. I'm definitely going to do everything as a father to make sure my son is found and make sure that he get the justice that he needs today. Also, because God has put things in order. A lot of times we have a lot of tragedies. I met a lot of families out there in the desert. A lot of families who going through the similar situations as me and my family, and they somehow came out to help me out in the desert. A stranger, a person that don't know Daniel, don't know me, but they came out as Americans to help another American look for an American scientist. Me being the person I am from where I'm from, the faith that I'm of South Carolina, the faith that I have, the belief in God. You cannot stand back idly by and not try to help others. So I went further and decided to do advocacy work to help other families as well. Do everything I can humanistically possible to bring awareness to the Missing American Crisis that we have in this country, to make sure I'm doing the best job that I can do and do everything that I humanistically can do to help solve this problem. And today, again, I want us to come together as a family. Everybody who's watching me right now, we're all our family. We're all in this together. We're Americans, and also we are humans. We are mankind, where we have to look out for each other. We have to get past all the things that we see going on in the world and take a moment and think about others. As I said before, we have a Missing American Crisis in this country. I will give you some of those statistics shortly. But I want to start off this whole event, like I do every year, I try to do some type of candlelight visual, something that reminiscent of Daniel, talk about what he loved. Like I say, geology, he loved science, he loved nature. At the same time, to be inclusive for other families. This is not just for our family. I like to call Daniel America's son because he's a type of shadow of things that actually was happening in this country. We cannot forget every day as I'm speaking right now, someone has gone missing. So to start this off, I will be doing lighting a candle. And also, I will be doing a prayer because every month on the 23rd, I try to do a prayer and fast for Daniel. Unfortunately, we couldn't do the fasting part, but I am going to do the prayer for Daniel. And also, the prayer is for all the missing Americans in this country, and also all of you as well that's watching right now, because you know what? You cannot do this alone. One thing for sure, Americans that are missing, their families, we need you. So to start it off, I will go with, like I say, the prayer, but I'm going to give you a little bit a part of this candlelight vision. So if you have a candle at home and you would like to light it, I would like you to light that candle in memories of my son, as well as all the missing Americans that we have in this country.
Yeah, I'm David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Robinson. We're out here to do a candlelight visual on behalf of my son, and also to bring light into other families who are going through similar situations. So thank you. I'm thanking everybody who's out here to support. We need to stand in solidarity to bring attention to this case and to make a statement.
Oh, I'll be your shelter, I'll be your armor. I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you. I will never stop marching to reach you in the middle of the hardest fight. It's true, I will rescue you. You are my shelter from the storm. You keep me safe inside your wings. You are my comfort when life gets hard. You lead me to water to drink. Your gentle hand, even when I can't understand. I know your voice, I'm not afraid. Walking with me at the same pace.
Okay, thank you again, everybody, for being here. Those who just joining in, I'm David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Robinson. My son went missing out in the Sonoran Desert of Arizona while working. Today, I am doing a event for him, and as well as missing Americans in this country. I lit my candle. I asked you guys before this part here to, if you have a candle, light a candle in remembrance of my son, as well as all the missing Americans in this country that go missing every day. And those ones who are still missing and currently missing, who's been missing for years. And also for the remembering of those families who are going through. We're going through a hard time. I know my family and I, we're going through a very difficult time. For Daniel, We don't get to spend for the last 3 years now, the Thanksgiving breaks, the Christmas break, his birthday in January, these holidays, 4th of July, you name it. It's a difficult time. It's a difficult time when we have to, for some, they say, hey, this is the anniversary date. For us as a family, it's an everyday thing. When you don't have closures, you don't know what to think a lot of times. Those things are always in your mind. So again, this is a candlelight as well as a prayer and for Daniel and all the missing Americans out there. And so I will start this part here off with a prayer, and then we'll go into some of the statistics that's out there and things that we need to be aware of, how we can help families to find their missing loved ones. And one of the other things as well, I will be bringing in guests that will be joining me shortly to talk about what they do to help Americans. And also, we'll talk about some of the statistics that's out there that is very striking that need to be addressed. And I will tell you also about my run for Congress and why it's very important to what I'm planning to do and why I'm doing what I'm doing. As you know, I'm fighting, I'm fighting for my son, but also I'm fighting for all the missing Americans in this country, and try to do all the right things. So I need your support as well. But now we're going to this prayer. Heavenly Father, I thank you, Heavenly Father, for this day. Thank you for all your goodness and mercies. I thank you for bringing everybody who is listening to my voice in this event. Bless each and every ear that is listening. Bless them, their needs, their desires. We ask you, Heavenly Father, to provide and help them, Lord, no matter what's going through in their life. You know what those are. We ask God to bless them. Also bless us as missing American families who are going through turmoil today, not knowing where our loved ones is located. Don't have the answers that we're looking for. We ask the Heavenly Father to provide us with those answers, lead us in the right directions. We ask the Heavenly Father to make sure, Lord, we have order our steps to put us in the right place at the right time and all the things that we need. We ask you, Heavenly Father, also bless those that are missing, Lord, that they are safe, they will be found. That those who can be rescued and put in the right place, put the families in the right place, put law enforcement hands in the right place, all the resources that's out there to help us find our loved ones. And again, Heavenly Father, bless those who support the missing American families, because we need constant support. We thank you, Heavenly Father. Amen. So thank you again, everybody, for bowing your heads with me in prayer. I also want to talk about everything that's happening with the statistics that is going on in this country, the things that we need to talk about the most. I will jump into that. Just give me 1 second. Thanks so much. Okay, thank you. Again, there's approximately 600,000 Americans that go missing every year in this country. My son is one of those that go missing in this country. It's an alarming statistic that I haven't had no clue of until my son had went missing. A lot of us don't think about what's happening. We talk about the opioid crisis and we talk about some of these other crises, but this is another crisis. We talk about the border crisis. But we have another crisis in this country, and that is a missing American crisis. And I want to make sure it is put in the right place. Make sure that we're talking about as much as we're talking about the borders or we're talking about the opioid crisis. We need to talk about why our Americans are going missing at this alarming rate. Some of those things are, of course, because of domestic violence or human trafficking, you name it. A lot of people do wander off, or they're a endangered person. Things like that are contributors to why people go missing. But nevertheless, they are all Americans. We have a lot of children that may even run away, but they are children. They're in the children's mind set. So we have to also make sure we're looking out for our children and finding out why our children go missing. I'm going to give you a little couple of statistics that I have here. Approximately over 600,000 individual Americans are going reported missing each year in this country. Currently, right now, as we stand, as recent data, there are over 89,000 active missing American cases in this country. The demographics in children, like I said before, children under the age of 18 years old are 36% of the reported missing in this country. Adults aged from 18 to 29 account for approximately 27% of the reported missing Americans in this country. And I want to stop right here real quick, you guys. First of all, let's stop saying missing people. Let's call them what they are. They are missing Americans. They're one of us. And we got to make sure we're putting everybody in their proper place. They are Americans, and we need to look for our American citizens. Also, we have on the gender side of things, we have males. Males make up of 54% of the reported missing cases in this country, while females account for about 46% of that, of the missing. By race and ethnicity, Black Americans, who represent 13% of the population, accounts for over 40% of the missing in this country. That is striking. That's very devastating. White Americans make up approximately 54% of the missing in this country. Also, I want to talk about some of the other statistics when we get to our Hispanics and Asians, and also our indigenous Native Americans, also contribute to the statistics, but at a lower percentage. But we forget about the reservations, for instance, where women and children are being going missing at an alarming rate. So we need to address and talk about those things as well, bring those things into the forefront. Long-term missing rates, approximately 2,000 Americans have been missing for more than a year. And these cases are considered long-term or cold cases. And I want to back up a little bit because I want to make sure that I'm talking about Daniel as well in relation to everything I'm talking about, because I've been there and my family has been there. And we already know that I'm doing everything I can to make sure my son's case don't hit that cold case status, because we know a lot of times cold case status happens when the public lose interest on the case, when the family don't actually give up on their family member, but they're not really active. So it kind of gives law enforcement a little shade to be able to call it a cold case. In fact, there are always some evidence out there. You just have to go look for it. But I want to say also unidentified remains. There are over 4,400 unidentified bodies found each year in this country, with approximately 1,000 of these cases remaining unidentified after 1 year. And so I'm really grateful for some of the things that we have, like the Billy's Act. And also we have NAMers who have their databases where a lot of states can get together and find who the families are of these unidentified Americans, and also to put them back with their families. So that's very helpful. But I want to talk about something else a little bit, of what I plan to do to enhance and better to better some of those things that we already have in place. Efforts and resources. Organizations such as National Missing and Unidentified Person System, NAMUS, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children provide resources and databases to aid in the search for unidentified search and identification of missing persons. So like I said, it's definitely a good system, and it works really well to try to help us to understand and find our missing loved ones. At the same time, I want to make sure that we can go even further when it comes to finding our missing loved ones. These statistics highlight the significance and ongoing issues of missing persons in the United States, emphasizing the need to continue an awareness and resources and additional and address the problems that we have in this country. So we got to make sure we're addressing these and make sure that we're doing something about it. We cannot stand idly by and watch our Americans disappear. So again, no one actually disappears. No one just fall off the face of the earth. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can. So what I want to do is also introduce something that I plan to do. A lot of people know that I'm running for U.S. Congress. Of course, I'm representing South Carolina Congressional District 2 is what I'm running for. And I definitely will be looking out for the interests of the constituents here. I'm a constituent myself in this state to make sure that I'm doing that part. But we also will not forget about the missing Americans and what I would do for missing Americans. So again, I'm here today to talk about that. One of the things that they have out there as well as the bill is at is the CLEAR Act. So we don't talk about that much. Many of you probably haven't heard it. We hear about the Amber Alert. We hear about the Silver Alert, those type of alerts, but we don't hear much about the clear alert. Some would call it a Ashanti alert, but the clear alert is something that has been developed and created in Texas, and they utilize that to help adults from the ages of 18 years old who don't fit those classifications of being the elderly loved one or a child. And had this been implemented in Arizona, for instance, for my son Daniel, I would not have any doubt that we would have some answers really quickly. So those things are very important. The clear alert is coordinated by law enforcement for adult rescue. It is a public notification system used in the United States to help locate missing adults who may be in danger. It is similar to the Amber Alert system used for children, but it is focused on adults who do not meet the criteria of the Silver Alert, which are typically used for the elderly individuals with cognitive impairment. But as you guys know, for instance, in my son's case, he don't have any cognitive impairments. He wasn't a child. He was 24 years old at the time, but he was an endangered person, meaning that under the circumstances, he went missing in a Sonoran desert where the extreme heat and the elements and the nature itself make it really difficult for a person's survival rate in the condition and things that was done. But like I said, a lot of times, we just don't know what happened out there. A family can come and talk to law enforcement and say, hey, look, we know this thing that's going on is not normal for my loved one. A family of the missing will always do our due diligence first. We make sure that we calling families, we talking to other loved ones and see if anything came up where this loved one may be. And once we're sure about it, then we reach out to law enforcement. So the only thing law enforcement's job could do is to act on things like the clear alert, things like the some call it Ashanti alert, the silver alert, and also the amber alert. But I want to make sure that when I win this election, I'm going to call it in faith. I want to be able to make sure we get a nationwide clear alert type system for adults as well, because we need to be found as well. It's not every case that an adult chooses to disappear, as some law enforcement will suggest. Sometimes people are taken under their own, without their own, against their own free will. So we have to look out for our loved ones, and we have to make sure that we safeguard all of our citizens here in the United States against threats like becoming missing or human trafficking or domestic violence, you name it. So I want to make sure we're doing everything we can to fight and combat those issues, and that's what I will be doing. Also, fighting for my son Daniel, I have learned a great deal about things that can hamper or stop us from getting the answer that we're looking for as families. In my son's case, one of the things were very important for our family was to get cell phone pings. And you guys have probably heard me talk about this before. I'm about to bring my guests on real quick here, you guys, but I want to make sure I talk about this really quick. One of the things that stood out in my son's case is asking for those cell phone pings, data, and also for his vehicle data that came off of his OnStar type Uconnect type device in his vehicle. And one thing I learned when I was working with the senators in Arizona and meeting with the telecommunications companies is that a lot of them hide behind these policies, privacy policies that doesn't make sense. They also hide behind the fact that they want to limit their data retention. And those are two of the things that was very problematic when it came to finding answers for my son. And I'm aiming to make sure that don't happen to any other family, what happened to our family where we're not being able to get that data to date. I want to make sure that when I get in Congress, we're going to look into that and find ways to make sure that we're not impeding everyone's privacy. At the same time, we want to make sure families who own that data, because you think about it, when you get a cell phone, for instance, you pay a monthly bill, that is your data. And your data should be able to be accessed anytime you want it. It belongs to you. it is your property, and you should be able to get it at any time that you need it. In our case for Daniel, it was his sister's data. We should have had that without having to go through a warrant process to get cell phone pings. So that's one of the things I want to make sure that we're doing to make sure we're able to use all the data, use the technology that we have available here in 2024 that can help enhance us and help us find our missing Americans that's out there. So again, I want to thank you so much for being here. And also I want to bring in my guests who will be talking about what they do and also how we can better help this situation, because it's, like I said, it's one of the crises that we have in this country, and we cannot continue to stand idly by. And so again, I want to bring my guests on right now. Thank you so much for your patience, and thank you, Mr. Petito. I really appreciate seeing you here today. Also, there you go, Derica. Thank you so much for being here as well. Let's see who else I have here.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Good.
Thank you so much. Yes, thanks so Natalie as well. Thanks so much for being here as well. I really appreciate you. And let's see who else I have. Okay, all right. Let's see if I have. I think I have the wrong one up. I'm sorry. Here. Make sure I get everybody here. There we go. Ms. Gilmer. Okay, I think I must have the wrong one here. Okay, let's see here. Okay. All right. Okay, can everybody hear me pretty good?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Can you give me one moment? I apologize, everyone. Okay, Ms. Catherine, I will bring you on in 30 minutes. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, there we go. I feel like I'm missing someone. I'm missing Miss Tullis.
Marsha?
Yes. Okay, and also Mr. Larnell Farmer, thanks so much for being here.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, well, I will go ahead and start here. I want to make sure I was not missing anyone. Okay. All right. Well, I have here everybody. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. I really appreciate that. You joining in with me on this day is represent the month that my son. Oh, there we go. Thank you so much, Tulis. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. This today it marks the 3rd year that my son, Geologist Daniel Robinson, has gone missing. And I want to introduce my guests. I have from Black and Missing, Derica and Natalie Wilson, who works to ensure that Black Americans and other people of color reported missing don't slip through the cracks. In 2008, the two founded the Black and Missing Foundation Incorporated to help raise awareness about around cases and help families navigate police and the media. The two spaces that can be hostile for people of color. Also, I have Mr. Joseph Petito. He's the well, I would like to say what you say on safe space, Mr. Petito. Mr. Petito wrote, "I am the father of 3 beautiful children. I have worked in the corporate world for over 20 years. I have learned to become a good leader by never asking anyone to do something I would not be willing to do myself. After the tragic death of my daughter, Gabby, I am now the vice president of the Gabby Petito Foundation. Although new to advocacy, I have seen the gaps that need to be filled when it comes to the missing and domestic violence. I am determined, and it is my goal to make Gabby's proud of the work this foundation will do. And thank you, sir, for being here as well. And lastly, also I have Ms. Toulis. She's the Vice President of the Family Advocacy Division of NCMEC. That is NCMEC's Family Advocacy Division, is responsible for the coordination and leadership of NCMEC. Family Advocacy Division, and has decades of experience in the field of mental health and child welfare in both the public and private sector, including more than 25 years with NCMEC and 9 years with the Virginia Virginia Beach Department of Social Services as a service delivery coordinator and social work supervisor. She also served as an adjunct professor at Norfolk State University for 2 years. She holds a Master of Science in Science Work from the University of Louisville and a Bachelor of Science with a major in sociology from West Virginia State University. And lastly, I also have Mr. Larnell Farmer. He's a former police officer in Chicago, Illinois. He's also the president of the West Valley NAACP. He's also a great friend of mine. He also a board member of the Daniel Robinson Foundation. I really welcome each and every last one of you for being here with me again. I'm so honored to have you here. It's been very great for me and my family. I was telling them about you all showing up. It really means a lot to us. So I want to start off with Derica and Natalie. If you both can give us a little bit about what you do again, and how your foundation is helping the causes of missing Americans.
Okay, I'll kick it off, and thank you so much for having us. It's good to be here. The Black and Missing Foundation, we are a nonprofit organization that brings awareness to missing people of color across the country. As you said earlier, there are over 600,000 people reported missing in America, and 40% of them are people of color. So what Derica and I are doing is using our expertise in media and law enforcement to bring awareness to and help find those missing from our communities, and to ensure that there's community engagement, because we know that someone knows something.
And just to add on to what Nally is saying, we provide those resources and walk these families through the process of working with law enforcement, working with the media, because it shouldn't be based on race, gender, or zip code. They all deserve resources. They all deserve, the community's outrage and finding and bringing them home.
That's right. Thank you so much. And also, Mr. Petito, definitely a friend of mine as well. I really appreciate all the work that you have been doing, even with the tragedy that happened to the family. I know all too well that is a very difficult time, but you took tragedy and turned it into something great. So I want to thank you for being here. And also, if you have anything you would like to add when it comes to the Gabby Petito Foundation and your advocacy work.
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. I don't feel like I'm qualified to be here between Marsha, and Derica and Natalie. I mean, Larnell and David. I mean, you guys are just awesome, and the stuff that you guys bring to the table. So it's just very humbling that I was asked to be here. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. The foundation is doing everything we can to help get stories, of everyone, that don't get shared, and that's something that's long overdue, and we got to correct that, because it shouldn't be like that. Everyone deserves the same attention.
That's right. That's right. And I agree with that. And also, Ms. Toulis, thank you so much again for being here. You guys, everybody, please forgive my voice. I'm losing it. I lose it often. I talk too much. But thank you so much for being here as well. I know, missing and exploited children is something that's, been very good work for us finding our missing children. The helpless. I call the helpless the innocent of the population. We have a really high number of children going missing. My son, though he was 24, went missing. I feel like, to me as a parent, many of you may relate. They're always our children to us, but we do have the baby children who have an innocent mind. A lot of times I hear out there that sometimes they say, hey, this child ran away. But again, we always remember that it's a child's mind. And so they are still in danger. We'll make sure that we bring them home safely. And I want you to add into the conversation what your foundation does, as well as some of your advocacy work.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so very much for having me. And it's always really good when I can see my colleagues there, Natalie and Derica, and I'm happy to meet the other panelists today. But the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, when we talk about children have been missing for such a long time, over the years. I mean, we've been around since 1984, and I've been with the organization since 1984. And of course, the reality is, to your point, Mr. Robinson, is that so many of the children that we do see missing are considered what we classified as endangered missing, or what the public might call runaways. And we know we really don't like that term. Actually, we don't like that runaway term because it denotes something that perhaps the child just kind of decided that he or she wanted to do that on their own. And we know certainly there are circumstances that might lead to a child leaving his or her place of residence. But the National Center, what we make attempts to do all these many years, is to work and provide services to families who have a child that is missing, regardless of the type of missing, and those families that have a child that's the victim of some form of sexual, exploitation. And the way that we do that is by working and collaborating with law enforcement. We are not an investigative organization, although we do have many retired law enforcement that worked in this field that do work with us at this time. And our goal again is to provide resources to the family, to include, poster distribution, to provide, other kinds of resources that they may need, and also to support the work of law enforcement. We do have a program called Team Adam, which is a program of retired law enforcement that can deploy, to a jurisdiction, at the request of a local law enforcement department, to be able to not to go in and tell them what to do, but to provide resources for them, that we may have that would be helpful for them in their investigation of a case. We also have an exploited child division, and of course, their role is specifically working on those cases where children and young people have been the victims of, again, an online crime, to include what we call child sexual abuse material, or what the public would know as child pornographic images, enticement, which we're seeing a great deal of with a lot of our young people being enticed online, being extorted, particularly financially extortion, that is leading to many young people taking their lives as a result of thinking that there's nothing they can do to combat that type of crime. We do have forensic abilities as well, to work with DNA labs and others to be able to help identify, in the case that we do, that there is a long-term missing case, or, that has been located, to be able to help the family be able to move forward. We don't use the word closure because we just don't believe that there's ever really a closure.
Right.
Even though perhaps what has happened to your child, it's an ongoing journey, for sure. So I'll stop there because I know there's so much else that we really want to talk about, but that's sort of a broad overview of the kind of services that we can provide.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate you for explaining that to us and give us those insights and understanding. Thanks so much. And also, Mr. Farmer, from your law enforcement perspective, I know you dealt with in Chicago a lot of cases when families would report a missing loved one, and as well as your help with Daniel Robinson's case, because you've been there a very big advocate in my son's case. So I really appreciate your work that you do as well. Many don't know exactly what you do, but you can tell us that as well. And also how what families should do when we have a missing loved one when it comes to reporting our loved one.
Well, excuse me. Again, it's I don't want to say a pleasure being here, but it's good to meet Mr. Patino. I've read about your story about your daughter, years ago, and then I met is it Derica and her partner. I forget her name offhand, and I apologize. I met you guys back in Vegas when I was here with Mr. Robinson
Natalie.
a few years ago. Yes, Natalie. I'm sorry, and um, I got involved. Well, like David has said, currently I'm the president of the West Valley NAACP in Arizona, and right now I'm in Chicago now, and I'll be here through the week. But I was introduced to David pretty much the minute he landed in Arizona, and it's tragic what has happened and what has not happened with Daniel's case particularly, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later. But from the police standpoint, what I would say, as David has said before, you can't give up, because I get notices every day of someone being missing it across this country. And I continue to say that people just don't vanish out of thin air. Somebody knows something, someone has seen something, and it's just to keep pushing forward, keep the police involved in the case, keep the case in the media, keep the case just fresh in people's mind, as David has been doing over these years. And the thing is, you just can't quit, just can't give up, and don't take for granted that everything is as people are saying it is, because again, there's always something that can be done, and someone always knows something. It's just a matter of putting these pieces together and finding out where the loved ones are. So that's one thing I applaud about David. David has not given up. Again, it's been 3 years today, and David and his family has not given up on Daniel, and I applaud them for that. And as I told David when I first met him, I'm here to do whatever and everything that I possibly can to help him and anyone else in finding their loved ones. So again, it's good to be here, and this is a noble cause. So I thank you, David, for inviting me.
Thank you so much again, Mr. Farmer. Thank you, Larnell, for being here. Also, I just want to talk a little bit more about some of these systems. Mrs. Tula, thank you so much for putting out the system that is in place for the missing children. But there's also some other resources out there that I've been looking into, like the Clear Act that I was just talking about earlier, the Amber Alert, and also the Silver Alert. But there also are other ways that, as a family, we should be able to. Families should have those resources out there for their missing loved one. We do have a lot of the nonprofit groups that's out there, like the Black and Missing Foundation. I really appreciate everything you have done for me out in the desert. And I'm smiling about that because I remember when I was out in the desert and I really need a lot of help. Your foundation was really there to support. So I really thank you both again, Natalie and Derica, for the work that you have done out there for me as well. Also, like I said, just some of the things that anybody can speak on this to help families if they say, hey, look, they have a loved one today. What should I do right now at this moment? What can I do as a family member that can help in the situation? What are some of the first steps that I should take when it comes to having a missing loved one?
I would refer to Natalie and Derica, to be honest. They've been much more versed in this than probably any of us, except for maybe Marcia. So, I don't know.
Well, one of the first steps when a loved one is missing is reporting it to law enforcement. That is definitely the first step. And I know that when it comes to missing people of color, that is sometimes an uphill battle. Getting them to take the cases seriously, because as we mentioned, sometimes they label our children as runaways, or they'll tell these families, come back in a day or two, but that it's out of the ordinary. I think one of the first things that families should also understand is that they need to understand what the regulations are in their respective jurisdictions. So for example, in some states, there's no waiting period in reporting your loved ones missing, although law enforcement oftentimes tell families to wait 24 to 48 hours. So understanding from the get-go that there's no waiting period. I think it's also equally important to make sure you have a photo of your loved one. You know, we need to know who we're looking for. We need to get this information out there instantly. And one thing that we do with the Black and Missing Foundation, because we've seen so many families become targets of scams, we actually create the flyers for them. And on those flyers, we have law enforcement's contact information, and we also have our contact information. And we understand and recognize that there is a lack of trust when it comes to the Black and brown community and law enforcement. So we get tips when law enforcement doesn't even get tips. And we share that information immediately so we can close these cases. And that's something that we've been successful in doing, in building those alliances with law enforcement. We want them to see us as allies. We're not trying to tell them how to do their job, but at the same time, we want them to do their job.
And can I also add, it's so important to get awareness around this case or these cases because someone knows something, as I said earlier. And Mr. Robinson, when we first started working with you, there were some challenges with getting law enforcement to act on your son's case. And we had a strategy in place, which was to get the media involved. And it's so important for the media to put pressure on law enforcement so that they can add resources to the case. And I think that, you know, we all did a good job with that because Daniel's case started getting a lot of traction. Of course, there's still a lot more work to do, but we are grateful for the media coverage and also the social media interactions. You know, people around the country were sharing your son Daniel's information. And I believe that law enforcement saw that as well, and that community engagement is so important. So we believe that in addition to law enforcement, the media is power. Social media is power in getting attention on these cases so that they don't go cold. And we ask families, you know, if you have an anniversary like today, or if you have any type of information, please share it, whether it's on your social media platforms or with the news media outlets, to keep your loved one's profile in the forefront.
Thank you.
If I could just add something, David, too, because I mean, what Derek and Natalie said is just spot on. But if when you go through the pages of NCMEC or NamUs and stuff like that, there's a lot of missing persons that don't even have pictures. And so having that picture, I'd go even one step further, you know. So I think I've said this before, when I was doing interviews when Gabby was missing, they asked if they can use her social media and, more importantly, the video that she created on YouTube. And I said, yes. I think they thought they put me on hold. And he said, yeah, we can use the video. This story is going to be sellable. You know what I mean by this, the producer that was on hold with for the interview. So if you have an interview, if you have a video of your loved one or something like that gives sound, you know, movement, stuff like that, where people can see and hear, it makes it more relatable and sellable to the media. And that can make a huge difference. So.
Yes, I agree with that. Yes, and definitely, yes, it definitely humanizes your loved one as well. And, you know, one of the things, like you said, Mr. Petito, was very important to me, is to get that information out very quickly, quick as possible. I know as a military man, you know, communication is key to anything. And so we definitely had to have that communication with the public. What I saw when I was out there in the desert, for instance, is having that communication going out to the public. It's like having your eyes and ears everywhere. So someone is always out there looking, someone's always out there watching. That definitely helps us when it comes to searching for your loved one, to make sure that everybody's a part of that.
Yeah, I mean, pressure on the media is important. I mean, benefited, you know, let's just call it what it is, right? So, I mean, we found Gabby in 9 days with 2,500 miles, if not more. So, you know, when it comes to that stuff, it really does create that pressure, and it creates that collaboration that you'll have with interagencies and stuff. But also, you had mentioned the Amber Alert and the Silver Alert. There's an Ashanti alert. See, that's the thing. The Amber Alert. When you hear the Amber Alert, you know, what do you? I mean, I'll ask everyone on the panel. Like, what do you think? Like, I think of a child. I hear the Silver Alert. I think of my mother, right? So someone probably 65 or older. But there's an Ashanti alert that's for that 18 to 65 that only a few states utilize it. I think it's for Ashanti Billy. Was signed in
Virginia.
2019, right? And then I think North Carolina uses it, but not all the states do. And I'd love to see that. I think certain states are trying to create their own because there's no missing person alert system for that 18 to 65 range. They'll stretch the amber or they'll stretch the silver, and that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, man. We really should have something for that mid range there. So, yeah, that's something that I'd love to see you bring to South Carolina when you're elected.
Yes, sir. That's what I strive to do. And thank you, everybody. I don't know if anybody have any more to discuss. I just wanted to make sure I didn't take a lot of your time, as we talked about before. I was really grateful that you showed up today. I knew you would because you're very great people, and I really thank you so much for that. Again, it means a lot to me and my family as we strive to fight for Daniel. It's something I will continue to do. And I definitely would need your help. I will be reaching out to you as well. So thank you so much, everybody who's on the panel. If you have any final things you'd like to say, thank you so much.
I'd like to just say, first and foremost, thank you for inviting us to participate. And anyone out there watching this, we know that someone out there knows something about Daniel Robinson's case. If you have information and you don't feel comfortable reaching out to law enforcement, please reach out to the Black and Missing Foundation. We have an anonymous tip line. It's 877-972-BAM-FI. Or you can go on to the Black and Missing Foundation's website, click on Daniel Robinson's his poster, and you can submit a tip there. We don't care who you are. We just want the information that you have that can end the nightmare for Mr. Robinson and his family. We just want Daniel home.
Thank you so much. That's why I had a smile on my face earlier. I just want to say this again. The Black and Missing Foundation has really put a smile on me. When I say a smile, when I was in my moment of feeling desperate moment, needing help that I can get out there in that desert, and the Black and Missing Foundation has been there by my side. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much again. Anybody else? Thank you so much.
I don't think people.
I would just. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, Marsha, please, by all means.
Oh no, I was just going to also say that if there's anybody that is that is listening that has a missing child or has a child that has been the victim of an online crime, and you're not real sure where to turn, or you're working the system with law enforcement or whatever, but you need some guidance or some help as to how to help your family go through that process, you can always contact my division, the Family Advocacy Division at the National Center. And the number is 1-800-843-5678. And that's 1-800-THE-LOST. We have you'll see I have on my Hope shirt. I forgot to mention that. We have a program called Team Hope that is a parent-to-parent support program, program that helps a parent that unfortunately is experiencing the loss of a child. We have volunteers throughout the country that can be individual that can kind of help you walk through that, and because they unfortunately have been through it. So if you need any kind of help or any kind of support, we're there, for you as well. And we do, we certainly, and we always refer to Black and Missing because oftentimes we get cases that we are not, able to, to work on. And so we'll get you to where you need to be and provide the support that you need.
Thank you.
Mr. Robinson, if I can just add, I remember when you first reached out to us, you wanted to make sure that your son's story was told well and told correctly. And you wanted everyone, including us and the media, to humanize him. And we want families to remember that these are our missing sons and daughters. our grandparents, our parents, valuable members of our community. So we want their stories to be told in the best light as possible, because we want to connect with the community again so that we can get the information to bring them home.
Yes, that's right. And definitely, that's one of the biggest things for me is to, sometimes it feels saddening to have to go through the extremes of humanizing your child. I know he's an adult, but I say child. But I want to make sure everybody can value my son, or feel like everyone value my son the way I do. And so you're right. That's one of the things that I would like to say all the time when I reach out to you for help. So thank you so much again, everyone. I truly appreciate your time. And again, anybody have any questions, we can go to Missing Exploited Children, as well as the Black and Missing Foundation, the Gabby Tito Foundation. Thank you, everybody, again. God bless you. And I will be bringing in my next panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone.
All right, thank you again, everyone had joined in so far with this event. Again, it's very important to me and my family. It's been 3 years now. Those who may have just joined in, it's been 3 years since my son, Geologist Daniel Robinson, has gone missing. Many Americans, over 600,000 Americans a year, go missing in this country. It's what I call a American crisis. It's something that I am pushing to make sure that we're definitely putting that on the forefront, in a same level or even higher than some of the opioid crisis, as well as the border crisis that we often speak of. But also, I'm a part of a family of missing Americans. Like I said, my son is part of that statistics that's out there, the 40% of Black Americans that make up only 13% of the population of the U.S. that's out there missing. My son is one of them. He's an American scientist, entrepreneur spirit, definitely doing great things for this country. That's what he aimed out to do. Went missing. He's in that number of those who go missing every year. And I want to make sure that I'm spreading that word. Also, like I said, again, I'm part of that family, that club that some would like to say that you don't want to be a part of. But just like my family, we have never thought in a million years. I can tell you, I was sitting in one area of my house where I am very comfortable. Daniel know where that location is. His siblings know where that location is, my family. And I was sitting there and got that phone call. That one phone call changed our entire life, my whole entire family's life. And like what I'm telling you is that you just won't want to be a part of that club, but it can happen. It happens to someone as I'm speaking. Someone in this country has gone missing today. I pray that it don't happen to you, but we have to be aware that this thing is real and that's actually happening. So I'm going to bring in some families, and we're going to discuss about our loved one cases. And we want to make sure that we're sharing these stories. We want to listen to these stories. We want to share their stories. And we also, one thing I want to put out as well, pick a family. You go on social media, we share a lot of stories about puppies and some of the other things we see out there, but there's also stories of the missing. We can find them. They're all over the internet. Find these stories and share a story a day, because there's a lifeline for Missing America. A lot of times a lot of cases don't get heard. We go out to reach to the media, reach out to the news organizations. You may and may not get your story told, but one thing that's very powerful is word of mouth, and it's very powerful when we can get everyone to share a story and get that loved one. It's a lifeline for that case. So I bring some families in, and I want to thank up front the families that are coming in on this panel to talk about their missing loved one. We definitely, and if you can, everyone, can you mute your mic until I call you to speak? That way we can make sure that we hear each other as we're speaking. So I just want to tell everyone, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. Katrina, I would like to talk to you first because you brought a lot of people on. I really appreciate that. I know all the advocacy work you do. Many of you may not know, but Katrina, she's one of the founders of the Missing Struggle. And she's here today, and she brought some families that would like to share their stories. I have been blessed by her as well. She helped me in an event to get Daniel's story out there as well. So she do a lot of advocacy work. Sometimes people do work in the background. A lot of people don't know who they are, but they're out there doing, I call them doing the real work, where nobody else is there to actually see this job being done. So Katrina, you can tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll get started.
Okay, I'm Katrina, the founder of the Missing Struggle. The Missing Struggle is a collective of family members that have missing persons. And what we try and do is just advocate for them, put their information out, and actually go boots on the ground to find them as well.
That's right.
George was a member of the Missing Struggle, and George's daughter was found.
Thank you so much. And I want to start right there because I want to bring in all the other families as well. We want to start from the top, and everybody want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself before we go into your loved one's story. Yes, there you
Good
go.
afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My name is Deandra Reed. My sister is Tiffany Reed, and she went missing from Shiprock, New Mexico.
Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you for being here. And we'll be talking about your loved one's story shortly. All right, thank you, sir, in the top right. Mr. John? I think his camera froze up. There you go. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself? Okay, I think we lost him.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, top right corner. Miss Tammy?
Hello, I'm Tammy.
How you doing?
My son Jared. Hi. All right.
How you
My
doing
son
today?
Jared McCulloch went missing. I'm making it. My son Jared McCulloch went missing. I suppose you would say from Knox County, Indiana, but that's actually where his truck and his dogs were found. But his last visual was in Carmine, Illinois.
Yes. Sorry, my condolences to you and your family. I know how difficult this time is. I really appreciate you being here to share your loved one's story. Also, Miss Claire.
Hi, everyone. My brother Alex Kruk went missing from Milwaukee, Wisconsin in the summer of 2020.
Thank you so much for being here as well. I truly appreciate you taking your time. And also, Miss Rachel.
Hi, everyone. My name's Rachel Carroll. The father of my children, Jesse Farber, went missing on August 11th, 2015 from tomorrow.
Thank you again for being here. My condolences for you and your family as well. And then lastly, we have, excuse me, Mr. John. Thank you, sir, for being here. You give us a little introduction.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry. I had to get on my phone. My laptop wasn't working right. So my name is George Vasquez, and my daughter went missing back in May 23rd, 2021. She left with a friend voluntarily and never came back home. So they finally found her body. Back in September. And they confirmed it in April of this year. So unfortunately the police I don't believe did enough. Or she might still be alive today. So
thank you, sir. I apologize. So sad to hear that, and thanks so much for being here. And also I have Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Ms.
Thank you,
Tina,
everybody, for
thank you
joining
so
us.
much. You tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll talk about your loved one. Uh-oh, I think I lost Ms. Tina. Did I lose Ms. Tina? Okay, I think I lost Ms. Tina. Well, thank you everyone for being here. I want to start off a little bit about talking about some of the missing loved ones that we have out here in this country. I will start off by showing a, excuse me, some of the missing person cases that we have here from the Black and Missing Foundation as well. Very important that we, okay, let me see, I went back to the wrong direction. Very important that we share these stories. So we see these stories come up on the screen for those who are in the audience who's listening in. I would like you to look at these stories and remember these names, because these are not just names. These are Americans that has gone missing. And we also will talk about the families that we have here on the panel. They will discuss their loved one's story, give us some information about their story as we show some content about their loved one. Excuse me. We have three, Miss Gibson here as well that's been missing. She's here from the Missing Foundation, Black and Missing Foundation. I want to put this up on the screen so we can see it a little better. Okay, and if everyone can, please, you go back and watch this event again to go back and look at these stories and look at these stories and make sure that we're sharing these missing loved ones. But I want to start off, Miss Kaya. Miss Kaya, that's Katrina. Thanks so much again for being here. We want to start with Miss Kaya and talk about Miss Kaya. Katrina, if you can, give us some insights about your sister.
Okay. Kaya Taylor is my sister. She went missing in February of 2020 when she was 28 years old. Kaya had no children, but her car was found running and abandoned on a railroad track in Plant City, Florida. A passerby saw her car, called the police. The police came and they actually moved her car to the side of the road, and it sat there for 3 days. We didn't even really know she was missing. I mean, at 28, you don't, talk to your family every single day. But once we noticed that she hadn't called or anything like that, her mom called Hillsborough County Police, and they actually said, "Oh, that was the car we found running on the railroad track." But Kaya hasn't been seen since then.
Yeah, it's tragic. Definitely doing everything you can to find your sister. One thing I remember just meeting you at the beginning, your advocacy work for your sister is nonstop. That's what I would like to see in our families, is to make sure that we're doing everything we can for our loved one. And we have to do that. We have to make sure that we're not stopping our work for our loved one. That's something that's very important. And I see you do that every time I talk to you. You're there, and not just helping your sister, but you're also helping others out there to help them find their loved ones. Again, a lot of you on the panel here is Katrina brought you on to this panel. So I really appreciate Katrina for everything you're doing for your sister, because it's really, really something that she's, I know she'd be proud of and happy that you're not giving up on her, and you're going to make sure that you're doing everything you can to find her.
Absolutely.
Also, I have here Miss Tiffany Reed. If you can tell me a little bit about Miss Tiffany Reed and also how we can help locate her, Miss Deandra.
Yeah, my sister Tiffany went missing back in 2004, which is 20 years ago this year. She was walking to school one day and she just never came home. Come to find out, she didn't make it to school that day. So we were already, that far behind. And by the time my mom reported her missing the following morning, when we checked at the school and realized that she wasn't in school that next day, my mom went to the police department to file a missing person police report, but they were very slow to respond. They made my mom wait 3 days before actually filing a missing person report, which, she's a minor, so it should have been taken right then. So we already had that time that we had lost. About a week after she went missing, her belongings were found scattered alongside the highway near Arizona, between the New Mexico-Arizona borderline, well, in between there, on the reservation. She went missing off the Navajo reservation. Shiprock Police Department was the department who initially had taken her report. To this day, her belongings that were picked up alongside the highway are lost. There are no leads. There are no follow-ups. I've spoken to at least 3 different officers within the last 2 years. There's no communication. Jurisdiction is a big issue. Shiprock Police Department won't let BIA take over. They won't let FBI take over. The most help that I've received was from the U.S. Marshal. And gosh, I mean, it's been 20 years and I'm still trying to find answers, and I'm still trying to get justice for her, trying to figure out what happened, still advocating. I mean, I've even gone as far as to going back to school for criminal justice so I can maybe someday take over my sister's case, because there's nobody looking into it for me. And my advocacy for my sister has brought me so far in life. Like, it just, I never thought I'd be where I was today. I'm a land and body violence coordinator with the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women. It's a coalition out of New Mexico, and we do a lot of training and a lot of, mostly just trainings, a lot of tabling and stuff around the state. And so with me being able to do that for my sister, it kind of gives me a bigger platform to spread the word about her disappearance. It's just really unfortunate, and the community that she went missing from in Shiprock, it's a small community in the heart of Navajo Nation, but it's a hot spot for missing people. And there's a girl that I went to school with who's also missing. Another classmate of mine, his body was found about a week ago, and it's like, what are we going to do to help the situation? But that's my sister's story in a nutshell. She was 16 years old. She was a sophomore in high school. She was still coming into her own. She was into poetry. She really loved Selena. She was quiet, but she was getting to that part in her life where she was coming out of her shell and discovering who she was. So it just, 20 years later, I'm still searching for her.
Yeah, and that's very hurtful. I know oh too well the pain. If it hadn't been 20 years, but I'm sure the 20 years feel like yesterday. And one thing that stood out, what you were saying, is that excuse me, the weight that you had to take. You say you waited 3 days to just be able to. I believe I have this correct. To report. And just like Miss Natalie said about the reporting time, I found as well a lot of departments would say to a family, you need to wait, but there's no such policies out there. So the policy would say the opposite. You should be able to report immediately and get immediate action into your loved one, because that's a critical moment to determine that if you're going to find your missing loved one or not. I'm very hurt that you had to go through that with your family. and the pain that you had to endure, where you had to actually do all the advocates work yourself, go to school, like you were saying, to go even further and put yourself in a better position to try to help you find your loved one. So my heart goes out to you. I can feel that pain, and I know exactly how hurtful it is to have to go through that. So again, thanks so much for sharing your story. I would definitely will continue to share her story to make sure that her story is getting out there. Also, I just want to point out, if you can, real quick, if you can get a little bit more of your time. You said she was missing on a reservation?
Yes, Navajo Nation.
Yes. Yes, and one of the things that I asked that because I did, just working in Arizona, I did find that a big number of indigenous Americans going missing at a high rate, but no one's talking about it, especially women and children from domestic abuse, etc. And so I don't know if you're familiarized with that. I'm sure you are. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so women are at a higher risk, about 54 or 56%, to become victims of intimate partner violence, Native American women at that. And it just, I mean, the Navajo Nation it's a huge area. It's about, I can't remember which 3 states, but it's about 3 of the smallest states in the United States put together. That's how big the Navajo Nation is. And to my understanding today, there is less than 200 officers that patrol that whole area. So the response time is like a 3 to 4 hour wait if you even get if your emergency even deserves a response. And it's really sad. I mean, the drug rate it's getting high. Domestic violence is really high. We only have, I think, 2 domestic violence shelters on the Navajo Nation. And the Navajo Nation area, it includes the 4 Corners, which is part of New Mexico, Arizona, Utah. And even though the Navajo Nation does not go into Colorado, we do serve a little part, of Colorado, the relatives over there for the Ute tribe. So it's just really unfortunate, like all the things that happen on the Navajo Nation and how underreported everything is, how response time is, and even just getting updates, follow-up. So today, when I try to get follow-ups on my sister's case from the criminal investigator's office, they would refer me back to the police department. And then I go to the police department and they tell me, well, we're not taking care of the case. Criminal investigator has your sister's case. So it's just a lot of runaround for me, a lot of back and forth, and they don't communicate with each other, that should be a big part. And a lot of the thing is jurisdiction as well. So I know that the FBI tried to come in from the Farmington area, which, Shiprock's in a border town. And they were able to kind of get their foot in the door a little bit, but there was a lot of pushback from Navajo Nation. So it's just sad how the help is there, but the police department won't allow the other law enforcement agencies to step in to give them a hand.
That sounds so reminiscent of my son's case. Many who's following Daniel's case, for instance, some of those things when you're speaking about the cooperation between 2 departments not there, and then if it is there, like you say, they won't allow another department to actually lend a hand, or a department that actually can get the job done to actually step in and to help. So I understand that too well, and it's very painful to hear that that you're going through that, your family's going through that. Again, thank you so much for sharing your story. Also want to share, excuse me, everybody, I'm still losing my voice, so apologize for that. Also want to share Ms. Veronica Reyes Diaz. Thanks so much for allowing me to share her story as well. Ms. Tina Hall definitely will be here talking about her loved one as well. So if you're here, Tina, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Do I have Miss Tina Hall? Miss Tina? I believe I have her muted out.
I'm sorry. I think Miss Tina got kicked off.
Oh,
But
no.
yeah. Do you see her?
Okay, I
In
think
the-
so. There we go. Okay, there we go.
Okay, there we go.
Awesome.
Okay, we have a little
Okay, we
feedback.
have a little feedback.
Miss Hall,
Miss Hall,
Yes.
thank you so much for being
thank you
here.
so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yes,
Thank you. Yes.
I know that today,
I know that
you're
today,
talking about your loved one. I
talking
heard a
about
little bit
your
of
I
feedback.
heard a little bit of feedback.
I'm sorry?
As I hear some feedback.
As I hear some feedback.
Veronica came up missing around the right before Kaya did in 2020, January 18th. I firmly believe that her husband had something to do with it, but we don't have enough evidence
Yes.
to charge him. He won't tell us anything. Veronica has 3 little boys. She loves them to death, and this man tore her family up.
Yes.
My daughter was only 23 years old when she came up missing.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Take your time.
Take your time.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
No, you're fine.
She didn't deserve it. Nobody deserves this.
Well,
She just went out one night to have fun, and she came home to not having nothing. Can't find her. Nothing.
Can you tell us a little bit of around her disappearance? What city?
She came up missing in Dover, Florida. She lives in a trailer park, right in the back. He said her phone was on her. We tried calling for 2 or 3 days, and then that Monday her phone just went dead. I don't see the police department here helping to do anything. They waited so long to even search her house. They waited so long to do a search that me and her father already did. My daughter wanted to go back to school. Her husband was very controlling. Wouldn't let her even come and visit friends, family, nothing.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
So only thing we can
a little bit about Veronica.
Veronica was an outgoing person. She loved her kids. She would never have done this to her kids. They were her world. She wanted to go back to school. She wanted to open a company up with her and her best friend, but he wouldn't let her. Veronica was very smart. She was a very loud person to be so tiny.
Yes.
Yes.
But she was always happy.
I want to make sure we keep memories of our loved one. And I really appreciate you sharing, because you know what we're talking about on the last panel. I have a little bit of feedback, but yeah, like you said on the last panel, we want to make sure you put your loved one's story out there. And I really appreciate you putting her pictures there, so our audience can actually see her, and she's out there, so someone can identify her.
Thank you. If anybody knows anything, they can get a hold of me, her dad, Katrina, anytime. Call 911. Everybody deserves to have their family. Nobody deserves to feel this pain.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
You know, that's one of the things you said earlier, is being a part of that club that nobody want to be a part of. It's very painful. Just like day one is never to stop. So my heart goes out to you.
Thank you.
Also, we have here. I apologize here. Mr. Matthew. Batroma.
I think that's Tina's mic that needs to be muted.
Yes, thank you so much. Are you here? Everybody can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, here, Mr. Matthew Batroma. I definitely want to share his story as well. Ms. Tasha Vasquez is here. Ms. Tasha?
Thank you for letting me in. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. This is Ms. Tasha. Okay, I think we're having a little technical difficulties. I apologize for everyone.
Tasha did say there was like a lot of rain and a lot of things going in and out in New York. She's in New York, so.
Oh, that's okay. I understand.
I can tell a little bit about Matthew if she can't get on, if that's okay.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Okay. Matthew Vetramelli actually went missing from Kissimmee/Orlando, Florida, which is it was Monumental Hotel on International Drive. Woke up one morning, called his mom numerous times. He was actually with his girlfriend, and they said he left, and Matt hasn't been seen or heard from since. That number that you have at the bottom, it says Miami, but he actually went missing from Orlando/Kissimmee.
Okay. Orlando.
Yes.
I'll get that corrected.
Yeah, she's having a lot of trouble up there with the weather. So.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Thank you so much for giving us information about Mr. Matthew. Excuse me, Mr. Matthew. And thank you, Katrina, for bringing everybody on. I really appreciate it. If she comes on, you can let me know. If she comes on, I can come back to her as well. Also, Mr. Alex Kruk, thanks so much for sharing his story as well. Ms. Claire, if you're here as well, I want to share his story.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I am Alex's sister, Claire. Alex went missing in the summer of 2020 from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. There is a discrepancy with the dates. If you want more information on that, you can listen to my podcast. But yeah, Alex didn't own a vehicle. Supposedly he disappeared on foot. Supposedly talked about leaving the country, but they've talked to Border Patrol, the Mexico Embassy. We've circulated him in Mexico and all around the United States, and there's no trace of Alex ever leaving Milwaukee. There were letters left, but they're not in his handwriting, and we don't believe he wrote them. it's taken about 4 years to finally get the police to really take his case seriously, and I think they finally are. But we do hope that there has to be, and the advocating that you're doing, David, is what this country needs, because we need people out here who are actually trying to change the laws, because there is a huge discrepancy in the laws in this country, especially in Wisconsin. I know the Milwaukee police now created a new email, a new website, and they're now saying you don't have to wait 24 hours to report, and that's great. They initially wouldn't take a report, and they didn't take it for months, and nothing was done on his case for 18 months, and that is due to the district that originally had his case, not the department that currently has his case. I know the officer on his case has been trying some things, but there are some jurisdiction issues also. And I mean, personally, I also think, if anybody out there with the FBI is listening, you guys should maybe relook at your policies, to where there's a lot of these cases where with multiple states, multiple jurisdictions, to where if you guys could assist these families, especially with these long-term cases that have been going on for years, I mean, it really needs to be relooked at, because when you have one state has a case and they can't get the jurisdiction in another state to help them, it's a huge problem. And I know a lot of families, and there's even another one on here right now dealing with the same thing, that, I think the FBI, especially with these long-term cases, I mean, and Milwaukee has a lot of long-term cases. I think it's around 68 is what's in NamUs, but I do believe there's more, just because of what other families that we've talked to. But yeah, Alex, there's, no use of his social security number, no medical visits. He's not contacted nobody. Nobody's heard from him since around August 6, 2020. And I really hope that the government in the state of Wisconsin and also in the United States can look at this and other cases, to where we shouldn't have to be begging and pleading the government to do their job. We're taxpayers.
That's right.
And the city of Milwaukee is not allocating enough resources to missing persons. And that's not necessarily the Milwaukee Police Department's fault. That's the city officials and the mayor and the governor. And, I think the state of Wisconsin Department of Justice has some culpability here. You are the state. You are in charge of these law enforcement agencies. If these cases aren't being solved, then, at some point, something needs to be done here. We have families that have been suffering for years. There needs to be some changes. So I do thank you, David, for your mission and your cause. And I'm sorry you're going through the same thing as we are. If anybody out there, please keep sharing his flyer, his story. Please, any missing families, there are a lot of missing people in this country. I think close to 600,000. That's a huge number. I think that's 16% of the population. And we need new laws in this country, because everybody deserves to bring their loved one home. And like you said, David, I think these cases are solvable. There is evidence out there. It just takes the time for someone to look at these cases and solve them. And you almost wonder if the law enforcement agencies don't have the time or resources. Maybe there needs to be a separate agency if they don't want to deal with it. I don't know. But, there is a Center for National Missing and Exploited Children. Maybe there should be a National Center for Missing and Exploited Adults, because there is a lot of trafficking going on, especially here in Wisconsin, other things like that. There are a lot of underground things going on, and the state of Wisconsin, other states need to take action. Because and a lot of these people that are vulnerable, they are children. They do have different health issues. So please share Alex's story. Anybody else out there? I have a lot of other families on my page. I do appreciate you bringing me on. We do still hold out hope, but.
No, thank you for sharing. And you pointed out a lot of things that I was thinking myself as well. One of the things is, there should be a department within the department, what I like to say as well, is the, what I did, do you still here? Okay, there you go. Okay. There should be a department within the department when it comes to law enforcement. We should make sure we have funding that's allocated to that department that focuses on missing Americans, especially in states with the higher missing American rates. One of the problems is a lot of times law enforcement have other things to deal with, and sometimes they would take that funding and won't put a lot of funding into missing Americans, especially when you're an adult. It's better if the department within the police department is just all they do is focusing on missing Americans. Like I said, get well funded. The training is there, and also the resources of you being uniform is one of the things I was looking at as well. Is like you were saying, have these departments speaking the same language, basically, is what I'm saying. Make sure you're on the same page. You both are helping each other accomplish these goals. Because a lot of times, families, I keep hearing it over and over again in this panel. For instance, one department say, "Hey, look," the family can say, "Hey, look, another department can help in the situation," but that one department is not allowing this department to come in. They say, "Hey, we have to get invited in." For instance, the FBI would say that as well. Well, we can't do anything unless this department who's handling that case invite us in. But when are they going to be invited in? So some of those things, like I said, should be looked into and find a way to streamline the process, as well as stop all the separation when it comes to law enforcement. One department does this, one department does that, but it should be all uniform. I don't know if you can agree with me with that, Ms. Crutz.
Yes, I do. And, oh my gosh, I had one thought I was going to say, but, a lot of people think, oh, the city of Milwaukee does not have money. That is absolutely incorrect. The city of Milwaukee absolutely has money. They're not using it correctly. And that does not necessarily fall on the Milwaukee Police Department. That falls on the city officials in the state of Wisconsin. The officials that want to kick their feet up and drink their coffee, and they're not doing their jobs. You have a job. You are elected by the taxpayers of this state.
That's right.
We have families out here that have been missing their loved ones for years. Can you hear us? You need to take action. The state is culpable in this. You need to take action. I know so many families in the state that have begged the Department of Justice, the DCI, the governor's office, myself included. I've talked to state representatives. I have contacted everyone you can think of, including the FBI. Everyone. Can you hear us? You're not using your money correctly. The state absolutely has money, and they need to allocate more to missing persons, whether you think that they deserve it or not. These are human beings. My brother is a human being. He deserves to be found, and I am not backing down on that. You need to allocate your resources more. I mean, there's money here in this state. There's money in this city. It's not being used, and shame on the state of Wisconsin. And that falls on everybody from the top down. You can't put all the blame on the Milwaukee Police Department, because at the end of the day, they answer to the mayor's office. They answer to the governor's office. They answer to the Department of Justice. It's time for them to make changes, because here in Wisconsin, I speak for a lot of families. I know we are fed up with it. We are fed up.
Thank you so much. I can say that I think each one of us on this panel can agree this is an American crisis. It's a crisis that needs to be addressed urgently, like yesterday and beyond. Something that we definitely have to address and not let go, and we cannot, as a family as well, let our foot off the gas pedal when it comes to fighting for all missing Americans in this country. So thanks so much again, Ms. Kruk. I really appreciate it for you being here. Also, we have Ms. Marzo, who went missing as well. Her family member, Katie Nelson. Ms. Nelson, are you here? Did I lose Ms. Nelson? Katrina, you still here? Are you familiar with this case?
I am not. I'm sorry.
I am familiar with Becky's case. Is her family supposed to be on here today?
Yes. Yes.
Well, I am familiar. I do know her family. Was Katie supposed to be here? I'm not sure. Anyway, Becky Marzo, sorry. I don't know where the thing went. Becky went missing. Hold on one second. Oh, there you go. Okay, December 12th, 2003. Becky is 5'1", 120 pounds. She had blonde hair. She was dropped off. She was at a bar with her friends, and she was dropped off at her boyfriend's house, where she was living there with him. and she was never seen again after that night. I know her family fought for many years with the Milwaukee Police Department to take action in her case, and they are still fighting for justice for Becky, as she has still not been found. Becky has an amazing family who love her, and they really would love for her to be found. I know that there's been quite a bit of work done on her case. I can't speak to all that. I'm not sure if her family is here right now, but I do know that they have advocated hard, and I believe, and if they're on here, they can correct me if they're wrong, but I believe that they at one point had John Walsh willing to work her case, and the Milwaukee Police Department said no. And I will say that for 20 years, I mean, some of these things that happened in her case, happened from the start 20 years ago. So the current officer on her case, I hope she doesn't think I'm speaking directly to her, because she's the cop also in my brother's case. But there's things that have been going on in Milwaukee and other cities in Wisconsin that have been going on for decades, and I don't want to put that on her shoulders because she's just one person. But Becky, she did not have a lot of media coverage. That's another thing in Milwaukee. They will share their flyer maybe once, maybe twice. That's about it. The local media here does not do a good job. We've reached out to media outlets, Journal Sentinel. I believe Becky did not have media coverage, and I personally, I would have been maybe 12 years old when Becky went missing. I'm 33 now, and I've never heard of her case until my brother went missing. So the media here does not do a good job, but Becky's family very much loves her, and they really want her found, and they have very much been advocating for her. So if you have any information, again, on my brother's case or Becky's, please call the Sensitive Crimes Division, 414-935-7405. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You filling in. I truly appreciate it. But, it's really sad. I'm hearing that. And I remember looking at the cases, and we had Milwaukee comes up a lot, and and I was really shocked and blown away from that, because I have never thought that, a lot of that goes on in Wisconsin. I've never known that. So just to hear the two stories so far, and there's a third as well, I'm really shocked. But but at the same time, with 600,000 Americans go missing here in South Carolina alone, we have over 270 at the beginning of this year that have gone missing, and those numbers are expected to climb. So definitely is a crisis that we have to address. Also, we have Mr. Rice here as well. Just want to make sure we're sharing his story. Ms. Darlene, I don't know if she's here, but wanted to share his story. Ms. Darlene, are you here? Ms. Darlene?
Is she supposed to be on here too, Darlene?
Yes.
Well, I'm also familiar with Ryan's case. I'm familiar with a lot of families in Milwaukee and the state of Wisconsin, but if she hops on here, she's more than welcome to take over. But yeah, Ryan Withy, he was missing. He's been missing from Milwaukee since, you guys have January 2020. That's not right. I believe it's February 2022. Hold on one moment. But he was last seen, give me one moment here, because I think, yeah, he's been missing since April 4th, 2022. So he was last seen, let's see, what do they have on here, at around South 8th Street in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That's the south side. He was seen carrying a bag. I know he was seen on camera, and he was walking away from a house. His family has also been fighting very hard for him to be found. And we do know that there are people in the city of Milwaukee that have information on these cases. So, you really need to come forward at some point.
That's right.
Ryan's family, he was very close with his family. His family loves him very much. And I believe there has not been a lot of tips or leads on his case either. I can't say for sure. I'm not Dorleen, but I know that his family does really love him. She does not want him to be forgotten, just as another missing person. And Ryan, along with Alex, we believe, the police didn't take their cases as seriously because they are adults, but they all, if they suffer from other issues, they might not take, their cases seriously. But I know that they really want to find Ryan, so I'm kind of filling in here, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
really appreciate you doing that. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, and it's a tragic. Like I said, I've been seeing the cases come up, and for this event, and it is 3 of Wisconsin alone, just for the event, and I'm devastated. And definitely you know the stories, and so I'm sure that's playing in your state. But also, you can agree. I hope everybody can agree with this. Is the clear alert that we were talking about in the last panel. I believe that it would be helpful if we had that clear alert implemented in every state when it comes to missing adult Americans. Like I said, I've seen that in Texas. I hear it's in somewhat in Virginia. They're trying to come up with their own type, but I don't see it here in South Carolina. I don't see it in Arizona where my son was missing. I'm not sure if it's there in Wisconsin. You can tell me that. Correct or not, I'm not sure. I thought you muted out. Are you on mute? Yeah, I think you're muted out.
There we go.
There we
I've
go.
never heard of that one being used in Wisconsin, so I don't believe that they do use that. But obviously, I'm not a law enforcement officer, so I don't know. I've never heard of it though.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, and I want to thank everybody again for being a part of this event, sharing your loved ones. Anyone, you have free course. If I miss anything, you want to share anything more about your loved one, please feel free. You have the open floor right now. I do hear someone trying to come in, but they have a lot of difficulty. But if anybody have anything they want to share and discuss with the panel, please do so. Thank you so much.
Natasha is on, and so is Rachel. Tasha, to talk about Matthew Vitramilli, also George Vasquez, and Rachel Carroll.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I guess I could say a few things. I mean, unlike the whole panel, my daughter was found, unfortunately, 3 years later, and deceased. But, again, what they call it, the clear effect. I think we need to do that in every state.
Clear
Like my
alert.
daughter was over 18, she voluntarily left, and when we told the cops that, they said, nope, you got to wait 8 to 9 days before you can file a report because she's an adult that left voluntarily. You know, she had her phone on her. Her phone went missing a few days after she went missing. We ended up getting her phone back. It was blacklisted. But could never get into her phone as it was wiped out. The Sims card was taken out, and I've just Hillsborough County Sheriff's here, in Florida. They just felt like she wasn't important enough to find, and whatever my daughter's problems were, she's like Claire said, they're all human beings, and they all deserve the best and the most out of these uh police departments. And like she said, it's not just the police departments. We go higher up than that. It's the state, it's the governor, it's the mayor. We all need to do a better job they need to do a better job of allocating resources and finding the money if needed to make this important. In my daughter's case, luckily for us, we were able to get the closure we needed. It is still an open investigation due to the fact that where she was found, that we believe her body was moved. We believe it was an overdose, and they panicked and they moved her body so they wouldn't get caught. But all in all, whether my daughter was alive, um, because we believe she had died before the 8 days, but that doesn't mean that at this point it doesn't matter. I just think that the police department dropped the ball and not taking it seriously. We had search parties. We actually, me and my girlfriend actually did search parties every weekend in the area she was missing. And for us, unfortunately, she was found 50 to 100 yards where we were searching.
Wow.
It was such a dense area because it's in the woods. It was rainy a lot here in Florida at the time, and we just couldn't get back there. But because of that, we were close enough, but just weren't close enough. So, but again, why is it that the family have to do the search parties? Why didn't the police take it seriously? They found her clothes, they found her shoes. DNA tested that was her clothes and her shoes. And yet they felt like there was no crime being committed because there was no they said there was no foul play involved. Because they don't believe there was. It's an active investigation again, but like I said, unlike everybody else, and I know about Kaya's case, and I know about Veronica's case, and Matthew's case, because we all were part of all that, because they all went missing around the same time. And again, all adults, nothing is being done about it, and that's the sad thing. And you have suspects. Veronica's case, her husband, and what are they doing about it? Kaya's case is her boyfriend. What are they doing about it? Matthew's case, I believe that he knew somebody around the area that he went missing. They did nothing about it. It's as if the police don't care because they weren't important enough for them, and that's the sad thing. And I think that we need to change that law, and I think we need to make it, just like the people under the age of 18. They are human beings. They have a heart. They have feelings, and they deserve as much justice and as much notoriety and be as important as everybody else. And that's just kind of my spiel on it. I pray for Trina and Kaya, and I pray for Veronica every day and her family, and Matthew, and even the ones missing in Wisconsin, which is, wow, I can't believe that many people, and probably more. That's just the police, I just feel, are dropping the ball, and I feel as if we need to start from the top and go to the bottom, and we need to hold people accountable for not taking this seriously. I mean, it's sad that there's so many people missing and nothing is being done about it. So that's kind of my spiel. Again, I'm glad I'm on here. I'm glad Trina called me the other day and asked me to be on, and just to listen to the stories and just have my say in it.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate you being here too, and sharing as well, and sharing knowledge as well, that we need to hear. I need to hear that as well. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. And everything it sounds like it's repetitive over and over again, not taking our loved ones seriously, our cases, the loved ones' cases seriously. That is hurting missing American case with missing American cases, because if that urgency is not there, law enforcement is moving slowly. If there's not being accountable when it comes to agreeing with the policies, for instance, that again, the reporting policies, or not utilizing the tools that is available, et cetera, or not calling in those other departments for resources that is available for help, things like that. So that do hurt cases of missing loved ones. But yes, again, we need to find ways around it. And I promise that what I would like to do is to have some type of department that actually look into everything that we're talking about here as well, and find those real solutions to that, because that is the problem that leads us up to 600,000 Americans going missing every year. Katrina, I see you have your head nodding. You have anything you want to add to that?
I'm just agreeing with everything everyone is saying, because it's real. I didn't come on here to talk about my other missing family members, but I actually have 3 people missing in my family. I advocate for them all, but especially for Kaya, because hers is so recent. But George, I can't agree with you more. My sister went missing also in Hillsborough County. They still don't even have FBI on her case, and she's been missing since February of 2020. Same with Matt. Just because our family members has what the regular people say are issues, they still are people. Right. They still have loved ones that miss them and love them and want them home. I can tell you the state of Florida is the 3rd largest state in the nation for missing persons. But they also have the highest, what's the word I want to say? They put people in jail more for animal cruelty than they do for sex trafficking or kidnapping. Anything to do with people, they don't put them in jail for, but they'll put them in jail for kicking a dog. I will say this: the two people that we think were involved in my sister's case are now in jail, and they are facing drug charges, gun charges, meth trafficking, things like that. Thank God. So now that they're there, maybe we can do a little bit more to, get some more information on Kaya. But it took them breaking the law in Plant City to get on their butts, to arrest them finally. I mean, it's totally agree with what everyone is saying here. Absolutely.
Yes. And thank you, everyone. I really appreciate that, Katrina, as well. But I want to lastly, I want to end it here, and I want everyone to take a time out to tell the audience how we can help. In other words, what number information that you have where they can reach out if they find your missing loved one. If you have a website that they can go to, things like that. You can take the time out, Katrina, if you want to start first, and we kind of move down the screen. I really appreciate it. Everybody can share.
Okay, sorry. Our email is themissingstruggle.com. We are on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, at The Missing Struggle as well. We also have a phone number, and that number is 813-607-5335. And I'll also put that in the comments as well.
Thank you so much. Can we have the next person?
Hi, I'm Rachel Carroll. The Tamaqua Police Department are in charge of Jesse Farber's case. Their phone number is 570-668-5000. My personal number is 570-789-3007. I also have pages for Jesse on every platform under Finding Jesse Farber, and you could also contact me on there. And thank you for having me, everyone.
I thank you for being here. God bless you for being here and trusting me with your story. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Okay, sorry about that, Miss Claire.
I have a Facebook page for my brother. It's called Bring Alex Kruk Home. We have a Gmail. It's findalexkruk@gmail.com. If you have any tips or information, you can contact the Milwaukee Police Sensitive Crimes Unit at 414-935-7305, I believe. It's on our website. But you can do that for Alex Kruk's case, Ryan Withy's case, or Becky Marzo's case. Contact the Milwaukee Police Sensitive Crimes Division if you have any information. We certainly appreciate it. I believe I'm on TikTok also. And by the way, David, I don't think Tammy got a chance to share her son Jared's story, and she's on here also.
Oh, she is? Okay, great. Wonderful. Thank you for letting me know that. I'm just see if I can find her here. You said she's on?
Yes, Tammy's on here.
Okay, I see if I can find her. Miss Tammy? Oh, up there. Okay, I see her here. Thank you so much. How you doing, Miss Tammy? Thank you so much for being here.
All right. Thank you for letting me tell Jared's story.
Yes, I appreciate you.
Jared went missing. Jared McCulloch, my son, went missing November the 5th of 2023. On November the 6th, we got a phone call that his truck and his two dogs were found abandoned on a road outside of Knox County, Indiana. It's a one-lane gravel road. It's kind of the bordering counties, but the problems we've run into, same thing that everybody else has been discussing on here, is jurisdictional issues. And it's a rural town, it's a rural county, and you're not only on the edge of two counties, but that Wabash River separates two states. So I think their automatic assumption is he's in the river, but there's so many there's so many things about the case that doesn't make sense. In his last sighting, there's no sightings of him in Indiana. The only sightings are all in Illinois. So following your footsteps, we started a petition on our Facebook group, Finding Jared McCulloch, to try and get some kind of jurisdiction change, because we actually live in Louisiana, and Gerald traveled from Louisiana to Illinois to go see his son and allegedly never made it. And somehow with his two dogs, and his two dogs were left in the truck with the doors open, and the truck was left running until it ran out of gas, and then the battery died. The fact that the dogs stayed there and he is nowhere to be found is just something we can't figure out. And we don't have any resources. We had no searches at all. EquiSearch said that there's nothing that they can do. We've had no search. I mean, DNR did say, I think they went out there several times, but they've since exhausted all their searches. I know Detective Carr, he's the one that in charge of the case there in Knox County. They just got a new boat, I think, for Knox County. It's their first boat. And he said he took it out the other day. But again, if he was in the river after 231 days today, you know, it's hard telling where he is. But they're sidetracking just our intent on saying that he's in that river. No signs of foul play, so we don't know. You know, there's no other places being looked into. Just that. Right. And if he's in the rivers, they make it seem like it's hopeless that we're not going to find him.
And if I'm correct, when I was talking to you about your son's story, you have problems dealing with the cross the state lines situation because of the proximity of the vehicle, if I remember correctly.
Right. The Wabash River separates Illinois and Indiana. And I have, like you, the same problems with the cell phone records and everything else. Jared's phone was on my plan. So I pulled, anytime he got a call, I was able to track his call movements. But to my knowledge, to this day, they haven't pulled any of theirs. Jared's phone never pinged anywhere in the state of Indiana, to my knowledge, from what I pulled off of his records. Also, his truck's in our name. The truck is a 2020 GMC. Now, from what I'm told, that EDR on that truck could be pulled so we could at least maybe track the truck. I have went through all of his social media accounts. I have all his passwords because he never could remember them, so I've got them written down in the book. But went through everything, and there's just nothing there. And there's no bank activity, no cell phone activity. And there's so many odd things. Like we got a request for a SIM card change November 26th, but the police say that they don't. I reported it to them, and I called Verizon, but both said that there was no suspicious activity. There's so many things on this that I don't understand and can't put together.
Yes. Oh, wow.
I just like to be able to get somebody out there to do. I'm learning about these searches, and the locals, I have to say, have been the absolute best. I mean, like I said, it's very rural, so you have nothing but a bunch of farmers out there in farm fields. They've been the biggest asset to me. I mean, even just walking through and doing their own searches, and whenever I go there, I meet up with a few that I already know, and we travel his route. We know between Carmel, Illinois, the last gas station that he was actually seen on camera at, and where his truck was found is about 70 miles. So, I mean, you've got a lot of area there and a lot of rural country area that he could really be anywhere.
Yes, I understand. And you said you would have difficulty with just getting the searches going, just the whole entire search apparatus.
Or how or who? Because even if we, the few that we've had, it's hard to get a bunch of people out there. And I'm not skilled or trained in how to do these things. Now it's so overgrown. And all through the winter, that Wabash River was so flooded that even a lot of the locals couldn't get their boats in. Because, I mean, it was bad. It was over the levees throughout the winter. But, I mean, I tried EquiSearch, you name it on the internet. I've really looked around and I tried. I've not been able, like we spoke about that dog team that you had. I mean, I don't know how or where to go from here as far as trying to get any of these things.
Well, I can tell you one thing for sure. We're going to continue to talk on the back end. I really appreciate you reaching out to me. But we'll talk on the back end and try to find you some resources that's out there. They're out there somewhere. We're going to figure it out to get the proper search that he deserves. And also try to make sure we're doing everything we can to push. We have a whole family here. I
just recently started talking to Miss Claire there, and we was talking the other night. I was going to be going down in another week or two and She said, well, it's only 5 hours. I'll meet you there if you want me to. Because I was afraid of snakes. There's a lot of snakes and everything growing up out there. She said she tromped through them.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Mr. Crook. Yeah, that was really nice. Really nice. And thank you so much again for sharing your story. I truly appreciate you. And like I said, on the back end, we're definitely going to still continue our work. And also, Ms. Crook, I'll work with you as well. Now that you're here, I know everybody here. I hope we can keep in contact with each other and keep this thing going as well. So definitely want to be able to help each other. And also, I have who else? Did I miss anyone to give us information on how we can help find your loved one?
Actually, Tasha was on, but for some reason she got lost again.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm sorry, but any information about Matthew Vetramelli, you can also reach out to the Missing Struggle. It can be through the Missing Struggle at gmail.com, the Missing Struggle at everywhere. Just find the Missing Struggle. You'll find us.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for being here and being a part of this family-oriented event, and also the sadness of having a missing loved one. I feel your pain. We all know what each other's going through. We have each other's back. Much love to each and every last one of you on the panel. Everyone that's listening in right now, much love to you as well for joining in to even hear our stories. Please, by all means, share these stories. Make sure we're getting it out there because everybody can agree on this panel. It's a lifeline to our loved one's case. The more eyes and ears on our case, the better chance we have to find our loved ones. Someone knows something. Our family members just didn't vanish. Different circumstances, of course, we hear in this panel, but someone knows something to give us the answers and the closures that we're looking for. So thank you, everybody, for being here. God bless you, and we'll talk on the back end. Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone again for being a part of this event. Dave Robinson for Congress is what I'm running for to make some of these changes that we were talking about. On this back end here, I want to talk about that a little bit before I end it here. My work and my advocacy to help find missing loved ones, as long as with the families that was here, their work and their advocacy is of the greatest importance. This is something that we all feel pain, our suffering, things that we're trying to do to try to find our loved ones, and not just find our loved ones, but try to help others find their loved ones. It's something that we're crying out to this whole entire country that is happening. We have a crisis, and I want to make sure we address it that way. It's a Missing American Crisis. We're not going to just let it just fade off into the wind. It's something that we have to address. We have to find those solutions. I'm stepping up to the plate. I have a missing son of my own. I am not a career politician. I'm a constituent, a person who lives in this country, who has a family member that went missing, like I said, and the importance of having these things taken care of. And so I'm stepping to the fire. I'm stepping up to do something, and I need your help. If anybody that's listening right now want to help my campaign, they can visit davidrobinsonforcongress.com. That's davidrobinsonforcongress.com, where you can join the campaign, where you can donate to the campaign to have a election that's coming up in November. I need to be competitive. I definitely need your help. God bless you, and thank you so much for joining in. Take care of yourself and hold your loved ones tight. That's one thing I always like to say before I end any of these events or anything I do. No matter what happens between a family member, you may have disagreements. That's normal. That's called family dynamics. But one thing you should do, in my opinion, is to tell your loved one that you love them. Don't let them forget that. Say, hey, look, I love you. We cannot talk at this moment, but I love you. And let that person, because there comes a time where you may be listening to old voicemails, you may listen to old videos, and you never get the opportunity to say it again. So I don't want that to happen to any one of you. That's something in my family I have to do, we have to deal with. And definitely, like I said, doesn't want to happen to you. So always remember that. Thank you. God bless you. My name is David Robinson. I'm a proud son of Columbia, South Carolina. I was raised on the Southern values of faith, family, and treating others as you would like to be treated. I believe in the power of a handshake and the strength of one's word. As a single parent, I faced the challenges of making ends meet firsthand. When I heard the call to serve, I knew I had to act. I served my country where I learned that we are all in this together, regardless of race, color, or politics. Whether it was in Afghanistan or Arizona, I saw the power of cooperation. Now, I'm ready to bring that same spirit to Washington. Our nation's future depends on our ability to work together and focus on the bread and butter issues that matter most to everyday Americans, not sowing seeds of division. This November, when you cast your ballots, remember, it's about more than just politics. It's about sending someone who will truly represent all South Carolinians. I am David Robinson, and I approve this message.